Turn around your emotions. It's about turning, wow, what a name of a book. It actually says it all. Turn around your emotions. I don't think I need any explanation after that. Turn around your emotions is really my journey, sort of my testament of what I feel is the importance between Emuna and emotional healing. And I do speak very extensively on my MS journey, my journey through MS and multiple sclerosis, and how I'm still fighting through the emotional aspects of MS and autoimmune disease, and it's unfortunately plagued a lot of us in our generation. So I invite you to also get the book. They're here, Be'ezrat Hashem, also on Amazon. So once again, thank you, Yehudis. She always is running around. Can you sit down, please, and enjoy the class that you so eloquently put together? We want to see you. That's Yehudis. Mwah, mwah. Really to learn from, really to learn. I literally came here, I thought we were going to have 3 people here. I was just like okay. So I was telling my beautiful friend Leah when we were on our way here, last night I had no clue what I was going to be talking about tonight, and here it goes, here we go again, okay. And I said, I don't know, what should I be talking about? There's so many things to talk about. I mean, it's a time, Zman Simchatenu, it's a time for being happy. On the other hand, it's Hoshana Rabbah. Of course, Hoshana Rabbah, the whole idea of Lahoshia, all the Yeshuot, Rabbot. Today is the day, Hoshana Rabbah is the day of immense Rabbah, Hoshana Rabbah. The Torah doesn't, play around with words. Hoshana Rabbah means immense Yeshuot come down today. And I don't know if everyone knows, but you wish you go, now from Rosh Hashanah, what do we say? Kotveinu b'Sefer Chaim, right? We wish one another with a full heart. We should be inscribed, right? Hashem should write us in the book of life and bracha and blessings, right? That's the day it's written. What do we say on Yom Kippur? Chotmeinu. That's the day Hashem seals the envelope of what he wrote on Rosh Hashanah. What is Hoshana Rabbah? We greet one another and we say Pitka Tova. Anybody know that we say that? Pitka Tova. Pitka Tova means you should have a good note. Oh, thank you. Anybody need a ballpark, pen? Or what does that mean? Pitka Tova means it's the day, today is the day that Hashem officially signs his signature, so to speak, and does a double seal, basically on what was written on Yom Kippur. But Hashem, with his Rahmanis, his endless compassion, doesn't send it out. Do you know when he sends it out? Nope. Zot Chanukah. In other words, we still stand with the option to change our mazel from today till Zot Chanukah, the day of bracha, where all the 8 lights are lit. The day of immense miracles. So we wish each other Pitka Tova. So from now, tonight, right? Including up until the end of, Simchas Torah, we say Pitka Tova. We want to wish everyone a good note, and I wish everybody, and all of us in Am Yisrael, a Pitka Tova that we should be written, the note should be, the number one thing that should be written on there should be Geula, right? Right, Be'ezrat Hashem. Geula Pratit and Geula Klalit, right? So I'm coming back to my initial, right, Geula Shlema. So I said, I don't know what to talk about. And then there's David HaMelech. That's really important. Look how wonderful it is that the Ushpizin Ilayin Kadishim, the sacred Ushpizin tonight is David HaMelech, and it's Motzei Shabbat, Milava Malka. It's completely in sync with the energies of the time. So I want to start off with just a little story, something that I came up with. And I decided what I really wanted to talk about tonight was the idea of miracles and nature. Because I do feel like we're all living one big, gigantic miracle. And I want us all, I talk to myself, by the way. I'm somewhere here in the crowd with everyone else, because I really prepare these classes for very selfish reasons. I need to get this chizuk. But we all live one big miracle. And I want us, hopefully today we can walk home and we can think about the miracles that we have in our lives that are completely hidden from our eyes. Because Sukkot is all about living a life, a miraculous existence. Because we were surrounded by 7 ananei kavod. We were surrounded by 7 clouds of glory that till today nurture and envelop us and love us and embrace us through the 7 lower spheres that Hashem interacts with us, through our 7 midos. And I just feel that it's so important to talk about the beauty of miracles, not necessarily even when you read about it in the paper, but just to look at our own life and to recognize that the Jews in the Midbar, the whole presence of Sukkah is all about miraculous embrace of the tangible meet between us and Hashem's presence. And so I came up with there was a beautiful story on Breslov website. And it goes like this. There was once a barber, and he said, barber, and not Barbara, Barbara Streisand, no, barber. And he said, I don't believe in God. He was having a conversation. He says, I don't believe in God. And the other guy asked him, he says, well, why? And he says to him, well, look at all the sick people in this town. He says, all the problems people have, people getting sick, all the injustices, all the wrongdoings. I don't believe that there is a God. How can there be a God with so many wrong things going on in this world? And so the guy turns around to him and, a good Jew knows how to answer back another Jew with another kind of question. That's just what we do. So he says to him, well, guess what? I don't believe there's a barber in this town. And he says, well, I'm standing in front of you. I officially am telling you I am the best barber in town. I am here. And he says, but wait a minute. I don't believe there's a barber in town. You know why? Because when I look around in this town, I see people with long, dirty, messy, horrible haircuts. And if there was a barber in this town, guess what? Everyone would be nice, clean, shaved, right? Right? All the curl locks, everything would be in its place. So he says to him, and he answers him back, and he says, but what can I do? I can only help those people who come to me and ask for a haircut. And so too it is with Hashem. Hashem says, I'm here. I'm telling you I'm here. And I've told you numerous times in the Torah, I am here. I am in the teva. I am in your pancakes. I am in your rice dish. I'm in the argument you just had with whatever. I'm in the shoes you just bought. I'm in your loads of laundry that are waiting for you right after Simchas Torah. Every single one of those dirty socks. Hashem's there too. And in the tide. Hashem says, I am in everything. But unless you invite me in, unless you consciously decide to recognize that I am here in your life, in every aspect of your life, you won't see me. And you will determine for yourself your own reality. Because we are our perception. Meaning, the way that I perceive my life to be, and just look up quantum physics. If you have no time, in between the washes, go and look up quantum physics. See, quantum physics proves exactly that. You are your reality that you observe and you choose to see. Right? And David HaMelech sings, and this is where I want to tie a little bit the idea of David HaMelech. David HaMelech sees his reality. He sees Avshalom. He sees the Nisyonot with his wife. He sees beyond. He's one of the most downtrodden figures in Torah. And yet he composes Sefer Tehillim that is completely embedded in songs and praises. And he really believes it. And because he believes it, and because he chooses to see his life from that level of a miraculous inception, he gets to really relate to Hashem. And the words through Ruach HaKodesh that come up from within him are songs of praises that thousands of years later we use to relate, to be able to invoke and release that energy of praise and glory and gratitude towards Hashem Yitbarach. The Biala Rebbe writes, as a person gazes with his mind's eye at the loving kindness of Hashem, he becomes a vessel to receive brachot. The Rambam writes, if you look at nature and you see Hashem's miracles, and you look at Hashem's deeds, everything, you will notice that everything is a reflection of the Ratzon Hashem. It's so important. Now, David HaMelech represents the sphere of Malchut, which is the lowest sphere. It's the place where heaven touches earth. Basically, that's what the Sfarim HaKadoshim teach us. What we essentially know from Malchut, in order to invoke and get us to be inspired to live a life of seeing the miracles of our life, we are suggested and advised, in order to you really like stir up that energy of Malchut, is to go out and gaze at nature. It's to just sit. And I know the word meditation scares people. People are like, well, I don't know exactly how do you do it. I look really silly. The birds are gonna laugh at me. Like, it's really, no, you don't. When I say the word meditate, it means to contemplate. The word meditate means to just be quiet. To just be quiet and just look at nature. Just look at the beauty. In fact, the Rambam says if you want to increase Yirat Shamayim, take a look, spectate in a place where you could see the horizon of the sky, where you could see the long spectrum of Shamayim from one end to the other, where there's no interferences. In other words, be in a place where even if there are buildings, you could still look up high enough where you could see way beyond on the left, on the right, way beyond on the left, and you expand yourself and you realize what massive presence Hashem has, and that's nothing. That's just what our eyes can see. But the idea of standing in nature and seeing nature really helps to increase Yirat Shamayim. So what is a miracle? If we're talking about nature and miracle, I want us to define and understand very clearly what is miracle. And according to Rav Dessler says that there's absolutely no difference. I know this is something we've heard before, but I just feel like it's so important to reiterate to ourselves. Rav Dessler says there's absolutely no difference between a miracle and a nature. Why? Why is there no difference? Because of the fact that each aspect of that particular part of the world of existence, they all represent Ratzon Hashem. It's all still coming from the guiding path of Hashem. What's the difference? And we know the difference between nature and a miracle is that nature is a cover-up. If I want to know a very simple explanation of what nature is versus a miracle is a cover-up of nature. That's all it is. It's a kisui. That's all it is. And in fact, if you take the word teva, which is nature, teva, look at this. If anybody, I've been playing around with the Hebrew language now lately. I've been having a lot of fun making my own Scrabble games. Teva, take the word teva, tet, bet, ayin. You know what it is? Tet, bet is what? Tav. Tov. What is ayin? Ayin. Teva means to see the good. To see the good. That's what teva is. When you could see the good, your next phase, your next elevation from that point is to be able to see the Nes. Because again, there's no difference between teva and Nes. The only thing that teva does for us, which Nes what Nes does for us, which teva doesn't, is that a Nes is something that we don't expect. A Nes, a miracle, is an act that came as something from out of Shemayim, like something that we completely didn't anticipate. And in fact if you look at certain things today, even just like using the computer, the internet, right? It's considered in many people, old school people, to be a complete Nes, that you could pick up the phone and you could speak to somebody at the other end of the world. That's a Nes. When would that ever happen? That's something that was not, it's completely illogical. I don't want to make everyone stand out. Please come in. I really don't bite. I try not to. Yeah, there's a lot of seats also over here. I need a water break anyway. So why, from the get-go, why would God create a world where we have to live in the realm of teva and not automatically live in a place of nisim? like the Jews in the Midbar. What is the purpose? What was the reasoning? God is not bored. He has lots of things to do up there. He's got ants to feed and cockroaches to kill, and I don't know. He's got, what is the reason why He put us in a reality whereby we have to go and differentiate almost, or distinguish for ourselves and find God in the process? And Chazal teach us, the sages teach us, that essentially the reason why Hashem put us under, so to speak, this cloak called Teva, which, by the way, Teva also is reminiscent of the word Tavua, drowning, because nature drowns us. Gravity, right? It drags us down. We're going to see another beautiful, connection. But the idea that Teva tends to drown us, gets us to not see the surface, gets us not to see the reality as it is. So what is the purpose? The purpose is, through the process, this is what we have to really internalize, through the process and exiting nature, through that process where I have to escape from nature, all of us have to escape and break the shackles of nature thinking, natural, logical, logic, analytical, get your PhD, and that's how you'll succeed, and I know all the other, right? The logical way of the world. As you exit that natural, well, of course this is how she came out, or of course this is what's going to happen because such and such and such, right? That's logical deductions. When we escape from those shackles of nature, something amazing happens to us. We become a miracle. When we exit our own natural tendencies of thinking the way things need to be, making logical deductions. Of course my husband, how did I not notice that when we were out on Shidduchim? Of course he's like that. Look at his mother. Always blame it. It's always good to blame it on the mother, right? Right? Although they're going to blame us, we have to be careful, right? So the idea is when we break through the natural way of thinking, we get to become our own miracle. That level of self-discovery, the revelation that occurs within me when I get to break away what I think I am. Well, I will never be, chas v'shalom, or it will always be, right? The natural way of thinking. Nothing will ever change. It'll always be like that. When I continue to be in that state of mind, I am under the cloak called nature, and I drown in my reality. And therefore you wonder when you find yourself saying, I can't breathe anymore, I can't take it anymore, nobody massages my toes anymore, nobody takes out the garbage anymore, nobody. And then we drown. No, you are not living in your own nest. We are not living the nest through the nisayon. The only way to break away from nature, Teva, and to get to the nest is through the nisayon, through the challenges of life. Look how beautiful. Hashem created a gorgeous Hebrew language. Please, all of you, go to Ulpan if you do not know the language. And, it's so important. If you want to increase your Emuna, I have to tell you, I really, really have to urge you all. I can't even imagine having the connectedness to Hashem, me personally, to have the connectedness to Hashem unless I understood the language. I was blessed. Hashem blessed me. I didn't even know what I was doing. When my mother brought us here, and I've been living here since I was 13. And I wasn't observant at the time, and I lived here from 13 to 17, did the army, got married, and whatever. Long story short, this is not the story of my life, but bottom line is, I remember that when I came here, my mother put me into a school with all Hebrew-speaking people. And besides Ima, Abba, and a lot of beautiful curse words, I did not know Hebrew. I didn't know. My father, my mother, both Israeli. My mother remarried after that, after they got divorced, Israeli. And I picked up some words, not some nice ones, but I picked up words. But they weren't the ones you learned in school. And I remember I sat down with the resource teacher, I guess the Ulpan teacher. At that time they gave it to us, I guess, for free or for very, subsidized, whatever it was. And I remember she would teach me grammar. And she would teach me like aten and not atem. Like she would really differentiate. And at the time, I remember till today, I'm thinking to myself, why is this important to me that I learn the Hebrew language? Like I know I have to do bagrut, I know I have to, But today, I recognize and realize Hashem was teaching me Hebrew so that I can learn and grow in my Emuna. Look at the word nisayon. Nisayon is nun samach, and then you have yud vav nun. As we understand, and as I've hinted to you, nisayon has the word nes in it, right? Because it's after I break my nature and I overcome the difficulty that Hashem dished out for me, and I feel like I could see Hashem in the difficulty. That's a nes. By the way, I'm sure you've all lived a nes. I am positive you have all tasted a nes in your life, because if you've seen Hashem in your darkness, you are officially in a nes status. Because nisayon, the first part of being and living a reality of nes is to see Hashem in the nisayon. But some of us, unfortunately, live also the latter part of the nisayon. The latter part of the nisayon is the yud vav nun. Yud vav nun is very interesting. Number one, it spells Yavan. Yavan is the exile of darkness. Now, something interesting happens when we're in darkness. When we're in darkness, what happens is everything's there. If I walk into a room and it is completely dark, and then I flick on the lights, did something change in that room? Nothing changed. The chair, the table, the mess, everything was there. And many of us just are living in that exile called Yavan, where we're living in choshech. Choshech, the word shachach. What is the idea of living in a reality of darkness? It means I live in a reality where I forget, where there's forgetfulness. A nisayon, if I don't live the nes, if I don't break away from the shackles of what I think I could do, I can't handle this. That's teva. Of course, teva, you can't handle this. There's no way any of us could handle any of the things we're dishing and facing right now. Nobody here could tell me that if they were told that they were going to face what they're facing right now, and it doesn't matter. For someone, it could be, how am I going to cook for the Chag? I'm not kidding you. Some women get completely overwhelmed just from cooking from the Chag, and that's okay. That's their nisayon. That's where they need to grow. But every single person, every single one of us needs to break away from our teva, from our shackles. And unfortunately, if we don't break away from that place, we bypass the nes and we go straight into Yavan and we forget. We get bounded, we get grounded, we get seeped into the reality of thinking that we don't have the koach to grow from the nisayon. Look at the word Yavan. Yud, Vav, Nun. Yavan is taking your elevation of the Yud. Yud represents Chochmah, all the things you know, all the Torah classes you've gone to. It takes all of your wisdom and it pulls you down until you feel you are completely in Teva, completely drowned, under the ground, right? The Nun goes way beyond. It takes a lot of courage to transform. You have to tell me when I have to stop. Okay, 5 more minutes. Not much. Only another whole page. Okay. It takes a lot of courage to go from the question mark, where we're all sort of like this, right, to an exclamation point. A question mark, living in a question mark means, can I really? Is it possible? Will it change? Living in the question mark of not understanding of the question mark of questioning my life, questioning Hashem, questioning my koach. It's very, very hard to keep walking around life like this in a question mark. Our job within the Nisayon, and you know what? You could see it very clearly. Look at the Nun in the Nisayon, the first Nun, and look at the last Nun in the Nisayon. The first Nun in Nisayon, how does it look? Like a hunchback, right? The Nun is like all crunched up, like a fetus, right? How does the last Nun look in Nisayon? A straight line. Because when you walk into an assignment, I can't take this. There's no way I could make it through. Oh my gosh, you really have nothing better to do with me, but give me this. And you're just like completely verklepped. I like to use once in a while a Yiddish word to show as if I know Yiddish when I have no idea what I'm saying. Right? So you're like this, and then by the time you make it through and you plug through the samach, the yud, the vav, you become that straight-legged nun again. You become strong, and you become a nes. And that's what Hashem wants from us. Hashem wants us to break our teva, the things that we feel that we're stuck in. I'm trying not to be so angry. I've gone to all the classes. I've visited all the websites. I've read them all, and I still have an anger issue. I can't break my teva. This is who I am. And I can't break. I just did that for those who are sleeping. This is who I am. I can't change. That's being in my teva. I have to make a point of one more thing. I just want to make, because I'm on a timeline. She's telling me I have to stop. So I have to tell you this, because this was like the epitome of the class that I felt I needed to say. And would you think that this is a long introduction for the one thing I had to say? It says in Masechet Baba Metzia, en habracha mitzuya, I'm going to speak in English for those who still didn't go to Upan, en habracha mitzuya ela bedavar samui min ha'ayin. Rabbi Yitzchak says a blessing is found only in what is hidden from the eye. What did we say teva is? It's all about hiding, right? It's a kisui. There's a cloak around the interaction and the miracle of what Hashem is actually creating. If you want bracha in your life, look at the word bracha. Bet, reish, kaf. Bet in gematria is 2. Reish is? 2. Huh? Reish is? What is kaf? 20. Do you see there's an expansion of the number 2? What is a bracha? What does it mean to have a bracha in your life? What it means to have a bracha in your life, it means that you take that which you have and you expand on it. You make something greater from it. When it says in the Torah and the Gemara that there's no bracha, only that which is closed and covered up, what it means is that our lives, that we live in a world of teva, is completely filled with bracha because we don't see it. Do you understand? All the brachas we don't notice, and it actually says, Rabbeinu Bachayei says, "En bal hanes mekil beniso." The one who has a miracle that happens to him, he doesn't recognize even that he had a miracle that happened to him. The bracha is in that which you don't see. But every time, if you want though that bracha to come forth and expand in your life, you need to recognize it. You need to see Hashem in your teva. You need to see Hashem in your life, in the difficulties, in the nisyonot, in all of the things that are difficult, that are challenging. I'm going to end off with the last thing by saying this is a night of Geula. It's a Geula gathering, right? It's a night of Geula. One of the most famous verses that define Geula. Haben Ephraim Yakir Li. And there's a beautiful commentary that brings down Yakir. You can take the letter Kuf and use a kaf and say, when Haben Ephraim, us, us as a nation, when we will start to yakir, when we will start to recognize, yakir from, right, when you change the kuf to the kaf, it says to know. When we will acknowledge and when we will recognize Hashem in our lives, we will come out from the geder of teva, from the realm of nature. We will enter the gilui, the revelation of nes, and that is essentially geula, which means the geula can be felt right now from the simple cognition and recognition that Hashem is in your life, that Hashem is part of your life, that Hashem is driving your life, that Hashem is loving you along every moment of everything that you're going through. Tonight, everyone go home, thank Hashem, recognize Him, ask for Yeshuot. Tonight is the night to ask for tremendous Yeshuot. Tremendous. Tonight is the night, going in, leading us to that 8th day. It's the bridge of Hoshana Rabbah, which is all the Yeshuot are here tonight. So Be'ezrat Hashem, we should all be zocheh to the ultimate revelation. You know what the ultimate revelation is? The revelation of discovering how powerful your neshama is, how powerful you are, how many miracles you can bring about in your own life every time you go against your own nature. Every time your mind tells you you can't, you go ahead and say, I can. And the reason why I can is because Hashem has enabled me to can. He is if that's such an English, I don't know what I just said. But if Hashem told me, I just made it up, all right? Hashem enables us to do everything, live out that ness. Be'ezrat Hashem, that'll be the beginning of many, many, many more nisim. Thank you, Yehudis. Thank you, everybody. It should be a continuous, beautiful evening.